Hello, everyone. I finally cannot believe I am saying this. We can now officially jailbreak our iDevices with CheckRain. There is a catch, though. You are going to have to use a USB flash drive or an SD card. I know this is a little bit unconventional, but I can tell you all that this method absolutely does work. Or, of course, a few setbacks, as I mentioned. One of them was either using USB flash drive or a SD card. It could be micro even. Like, I've done that because I don't really have flash drives. I definitely have the SD cards in my old Android days. But this definitely works. I'm telling you all right now, this absolutely 100% works. Now, first things first, I want to give you all a warning. Alright? If your computer does not have 8 gigabytes of RAM and you have difficulties with your BIOS settings, which I'll show you what to do with the BIOS later on in this tutorial, then I suggest to just click away and wait for an official Windows tool. We'll get an official Windows tool, and I promise I will do a tutorial on how to open up the official exe once CheckRain does release it, which we don't have that right now. We only have this version that was done by a different developing team, which I don't even know who they are, but whoever did this, it's a blessing in disguise. Now, my source was iApple Pro, and I want to thank him for giving out final information to the public in the past week, because we've been having many issues. I've tried doing this in the past week. I wanted to at least make sure I had an official way to record everything, log it down, so that way I'm not giving you all inaccurate information. But this is accurate. I'm 100% made sure that this is the right method. Alright? So, first things first. We need to know if the computer is an Intel or an AMD. Right? So how do we figure that out? Well, you're going to open your File Explorer, then right-click this PC. Go to Properties. And I have it zoomed in for a reason when I edit this on one to share later on. Make sure it says Intel, or AMD. And make sure that, again, your installed memory, your RAM, is at least 8 gigabytes. Now, 32-bit, 64-bit, I'm not going to question that. I only question the memory, the RAM, because at least if you have 8 gigs, you're all good. Alright, that's the main thing. You must make sure your computer supports virtualization. If your computer does not support virtualization, and we've done this with the Linux tool, the most recent Linux tool that came out, and I have a tutorial for that. If you are waiting for Linux and you don't want to fiddle around with this, then I don't know what else is there to say, because my dad just distracted me for a second. That's what happens when you're too close to your dad's room. But what I am trying to say here is, if you don't have virtualization, odds are this will not work for you. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, now what do we do? Next up, make sure you have a flash drive or a micro SD card or an SD card that can support at least 2 gigabytes. At least 2 gigabytes. If it's not 2 gigabytes, then odds are this will not work out for you. I thankfully had 32 gigs, so that really didn't matter. But we're going to move on to the next step. The next step is to follow these links. So I will have these 3 links in the description below. They're all from iApple Pro. So once again, thanks to him for giving out this information. So I went to the bottom of the page. This is what the page will look like. So you're going to go down, and just for an example, we have Intel. So we download the Intel. And next thing you're going to want to make sure is to download balenaEtcher. balenaEtcher is how you're going to flash your disk image to your USB flash drive or your SD card. Okay, so now we have those two files downloaded. Now what? Well, we're now going to open the balenaEtcher and generic SD. So make sure this is the right one. I'm going to close out of it just for a second for precautionary reasons because I don't want to lose the files I currently have, because there's a very important step that you have to do afterwards. Okay, so select image. I had the Ra1nUSB final AMD. I was messing with AMD because I heard somebody said you can try AMD, but there was one issue that we had, all of us had, in the jailbreaking community in the past week, which I'll get into in just a second. But make sure you select your DMG, and I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now. This is what the flash will look like when the disk image is going to your micro SD card or your flash drive. It normally takes about, depending on the speed, 2 to 5 minutes, so just stay patient. And once that's done, the next thing you want to do is make sure when you open your File Explorer, and this is the most important step, out of all the important steps, I need to show you all this. Now, go to Ra1nUSB. What you're going to do is you're going to go to EFI. Remember, EFI. Click on Clover. Now, see this right here? This is config.plist. All right, I got this file earlier today, the 14th on Tuesday. Now, this is the file that iApple Pro told us to use, and I can confirm it absolutely worked on my computer. So, you want to do is delete the original file. So, how do you get this file? Well, config.plist is right here. Now, if you are having any issues downloading, and let's say this link does expire, I will let iApple Pro know if something is wrong. I know I'm definitely going to back this up to my Google Drive, so I recommend as soon as you download this file, back it up to any cloud storage you have just in case, because I don't know how long this is going to last, but there is another way to do it. I may make a tutorial later on this week, because there was a way that it could be done, because iMatt told me there was a way that there was another thing to do, because iMatt was also involved in this process too in a way, but make sure you download this. So once again, let's recap. Rainboot, EFI, Clover, delete the original config.plist. Once you have the new config.plist, make sure this is right here. All right? That's how Clover's going to work. Okay? Just please remember that. This is the most important step. If you do not have this plist, then the Ra1nUSB will not successfully work. Now, one other quick note I need you all to do, because I'm restoring my iPhone right here. Please, this is absolutely vital. Back up your iDevice. If you have updated OTA, and I will show you all this in just a second. ipsw. Here we go. We have not had a major iPhone update since December 10th. Okay? December 10th. It's almost been a month since Apple officially released an update. Which, look how many iOS 13 updates there were when the original firmware came out. And I love 13.3, just saying that. But make sure you restore your device if you have updated over the air. It's very important, because I'm going to show you this picture right now. I kept getting this error. It kept saying, OTA update, please restore. And I'm like, wait a minute, shouldn't I just double check on the jailbreak forums? Especially, I looked up on Reddit, and I was like, wait a minute, this is what we've known for so long. We have to make sure that we don't have OTA updates. That's how every jailbreak program on iOS has always happened over the years. So, I'm telling you all this right now. Make sure you back up iCloud, your computer, whatever it is, back up, then restore your iDevice, and make sure that it's a brand new setup. All right, make sure it's done like that. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you will not be able to have the jailbreak run successfully if you have an OTA update. So I gotta wait for my phone to restore because the next steps are going to be very important. I'm going to take you to BIOS and I'm going to show you what you have to do in BIOS, because if you don't have these settings configured in BIOS, then you're not going to have the program successfully run. So I'm going to get my old video camera I used back in high school. The quality may look bad. I do apologize, but I know I've tried the camera. It does work on my PC, so we're all good on that. So I'll get it ready. I just need the phone to finish up. And once it's done, I'm going to show you what to do in BIOS. I'm going to show you how to get the Clover boot running. Alright everyone, we're now in the BIOS setup. So the first thing you're going to want to make sure to do is the advanced boot options. Make sure that this is enabled. This is for Dell, but I'm just doing it for Dell as an example. Next up, make sure secure boot is disabled right here. So the secure boot's going to be disabled. Alright. Next up, we're going to go to virtualization support. So virtualization, make sure enable Intel virtual technology is enabled, and make sure that VT for direct IO is enabled as well. Now, the last thing I want to make sure to do is to find the... I'm trying to see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I do apologize. There's supposed to be a setting that tells me where is the... Yeah, here's the UFI. That's what we want in boot sequence. Boot sequence is where we want to go. So make sure that UFEI is enabled. Make sure of that. So, once you're done with that, we are now going to hit exit. Alright, so make sure I can hit F12 as soon as I can. Make sure I don't mess this up. Here it is. I'm going to go down to F12. Okay, next up, when you're in BIOS, make sure once again, hit your boot key. Mine's F12. So now we're going to go to the UEFI right here. So UFEI will be your SD. It'll be your USB. Doesn't really matter. This camera has terrible focusing. There we go. Okay, so got two options right here. We got Windows, and we got the boot Mac install from Ra1nUSB. This is the one we want to hit. So the Apple logo will appear on your screen. So stay patient, because this normally takes about under a minute for your computer, depending on your computer speed. Mine doesn't take that long, but this is worth it. Now, if it does show that it's moving backwards, it means it is booting up. So again, I have tested this, and I am 100% sure this is a working method to jailbreak your iDevice. Now, I want to give one more disclaimer for everybody, because I forgot to mention this earlier. If you have an A11, A12 power device, which is the iPhone XS, the iPhone XS Max, the iPhone XR, or the iPhone 11, this will not work for you. But if you do have any device from the iPhone 5S to the iPhone 10, this will absolutely work for you. Especially how they had this in design for the iPhone 10. So kudos to the Checkbrain team. Okay, so whatever language you feel comfortable with, you can click on that. I'm going to click on English, obviously. So, next up, we're going to have our instructions. Ra1nUSB. To start using Ra1nUSB, click Continue. Welcome to Ra1nUSB. Click Continue. Now, there's going to be instructions. So, once again, they do have this. Also note, iOS 12.3 and above is supported, so that is some good news, hopefully on that end. So, now, this is odd. It says A11. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, that is correct. Right, the iPhone 10 is the A11. Okay, so the most important thing we're going to do right now is move your mouse to the Utilities menu and then open the terminal. So, we're going to make sure that when we do go into the terminal. We type in Ra1nUSB. Now, if you want the iCloud bypass, which only supports right now lower than iOS 13.3, make sure you type in Ra1nUSB.bypass, but we don't want that. We just want to jailbreak our device right now. So we're going to go to the terminal. So when the terminal comes up, terminal should be coming up in a second. There we go. Make sure that your cap locks is off, because if you have your cap locks on, that's not going to be a good sign. Rain, number 1. Look at this, number 1. Ra1nUSB. Okay, so now JetRain's going to launch up. And there we go. Welcome to JetRain. iPhone 8 Global. That's not my phone. Mine is a GSM. I know this for a fact because when I bought my phone directly from the Apple Store in Huntington, Long Island, the salesman told me that it was a GSM. I told him I was getting Virgin Mobile, and believe it or not, that's what happened. Okay, so once again, please make sure you back up your device. So we're now going to hit start. Okay, everyone, so I'm not going to be able to multitask on this part, but I just want to show you how simple this is. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on start, and then you're going to hold the slide down the button on the right side of the phone and the volume down button together for 4 seconds. So you'll hold those down for 4 seconds, and then what you'll do is you'll release the side button, but then keep holding down the volume down button for 10 seconds. So that's pretty simple. That should not take that long. So I'll be back when the logo pops up on my screen. Once you do that, you will see that come up on your screen. So that's a good sign. And now we are all done. Alright, so let's just make sure that Cydia is on our device, because there is another step that we have to get to in just a second. I'm just going to double check to make sure that the JetRain is here. Okay, there we go. JetRain installer will be there. So, do that later. So we have install Cydia. So you can reinstall Cydia. We're not going to do that. But the main thing is, look, Cydia is on my home screen. Now, can we load it? There you have it. Cydia officially working. Now, the catch is, this is a semi-tethered jailbreak. Meaning, if you want to load your Cydia tweaks, you're going to have to go back into this every time with the USB. But again, thankfully, everything is offline if you want your Cydia tweaks. So, just going to make sure that we have officially here on iOS 13.3. Okay, there we go. And the last thing I want to make sure for everybody is we're just going to boot back to Windows. Now, the sad thing is, since I have Linux as my main OS, apparently now, because this is so complicated to even figure out, I keep hitting F12 and it just doesn't seem to work the way it's supposed to. Thankfully, I can boot back into Windows, so just going to make sure that we can go back here. Okay, there we go. Windows boot. So now we're going to boot back into Windows. So again, this is definitely a guaranteed, confirmed working method. Okay, Cydia is on our screen. Mr. J. Freeman himself, Zork. But everything's working out. That's a good sign. That is definitely a good sign. We're just going to make sure that Windows boots up. Shouldn't take this long. Probably because I had an update installing, which that's what happens with Windows 10. It's so glitchy when it comes to updates. Just like how Windows 7 always used to be a pain back in the day. That's why I really missed Windows XP. Updates were updates, you know? Those were just simple. So I'm seeing a black screen right now. And I've seen this happen to me before on my computer. But that's okay. I know this is all going to work out in the end. Alright, there we go. Windows has booted back up. So, if you're wondering, does Windows work? Yes. You still boot up to Windows. Catch is, you're just going to have to use your BIOS settings. each and every time you want to do this. So, I'm going to wrap this tutorial up. Thank you all very much for watching, and until the next one, please take care.